Good afternoon, everybody. Keith Engel here for TGI Sports Talks Major League Baseball Update. We welcome everybody who's watching us today on Let's Talk Sports. Northeast Streaming Sports, TGI Sports Talk, of course. Hopefully you're all having a wonderful day. We had some major storms here last night. Yikes, man. We avoided losing power, but there's more coming today, so more dangerous weather. This is kind of July and August weather. We're getting in September. We'll get to more September-like weather next week. Lots going on here. I hope you watched our Are You Serious show this morning with myself and the Mad New Yorker. If you didn't, you can certainly catch that on TGI Sports Talks and a few of the sports groups that I do share too. I was on with Mac and Jack this morning. We talked some baseball, a lot of college football. Catch the college football huddle, which we did live Wednesday, but you can catch it on TGI Sports Talk. I'll continue to replay it. Thank you for all those who watched. And we'll be on Sunday with the Sunday Stream of Consciousness. Probably some program notes for next week. I've got work stuff, so I don't know when we're going to do the college show next week. We'll try to figure out a day to do it. My thanks to Jim Beringer for coming in last week as well. So today, lots to talk about. We got some races heating up. There's a game going on right now that has wild card implications between the Diamondbacks and the Cubs. It's 0-0 right now. We'll be looking at all the races. We still got some good division races. We got some crazy wild card races, I think, especially in the National League. We'll talk about the Steven Strasburg situation. It's got a lot of animosity all of a sudden in his retirement. That's why you don't sign these guys for this money and not get insurance. If you don't want to pay them, don't sign them. The Rangers collapsing in front of our faces. I said they weren't ready to win. I ate my words, and now they've regressed. Even right this second, they're out of the wild card picture. Yankees kids, we'll talk about a little bit. Nice energy influx in the Bronx and what they should do going forward, and some other news. Some other news around the league. Might be some Ohtani news. Maybe we'll look at the power rankings. We'll get the weekend scores, and we'll talk everything Major League Baseball that you guys want to get into. Dave Guyette, good morning, good afternoon, rather. How are you, Dave? Good to have you with us as always. Yes, I want to see Boone and Cashman fired before you get started. Boone should be gone. I don't think Boone's going to be here. Cashman, unfortunately, Dave, we're going to have to live with Brian Cashman for a little bit longer. Let's hope he makes a better hire this time. I wanted him last time. I said this many times to hire Rob Thompson. He didn't do it. He went with Aaron Boone. We got what we got. We got a good manager, but we can't get over the top. Not enough accountability. Could be a much different team. I'm okay if we have to struggle for a few years. Build around the kids and Aaron Judge. I mean, right now, Dominguez has played tremendous in center field since he's been called up, brought some great energy. Wells has had a couple of moments. They're really, really working with him in his, game calling, pitcher handling of pitchers, let's say. Defensively in general, at catcher, because we're not sure yet whether his future will be there or not. You can see him behind the plate. He's a little, I don't know what the word is. I don't say clumsy, but not polished. How about that? But you've got him coming up. You got Volpe. You've got Peraza. You've got some other kids that you can. Clark Schmidt's had I think a bit of a breakthrough season. Not a great season. Maybe breakthrough is too strong a word, but you got Cole and Schmidt, and maybe Severino's back. I don't know. We'll see. Keep an eye on this Diamondback Cub game. It's still 0-0 now in the top of the fourth. Let's get around last night. Let me just take a quick look at last night's scores. I don't think there were too many games. So we'll take a quick look around the league. The Tigers did beat the Yankees last night, ending a Yankees 5-game win streak. Yankees said back to 500. They were over 500 for a while. Again, remember, they've got this 30-year streak of being over 500 or better. I think over 500 actually. Online here. Hang on. So that's something for the Yankees to play for, hopefully. Torkelson hits 2 home runs in this game. Carlos Rendon, got to go. 2-5 now, 6.60 ERA. I talked about it before. This was a mistake. Be careful, Yankees. We don't need to go out and sign guys to these huge contracts. Rendon is a great example. Steven Strasburg is another example, which we'll talk about in a little while. Why you don't go out and sign guys, especially ones with injury histories, to these freaking long-term contracts that you're going to be locked into. Yankees will never be able to move Carlos Rendon if they wanted to. Dodgers waxed the Marlins last night, 10-0. Marlins still in the fight for that last wild card spot. I think they're only a half game back. We'll look at that in a minute. Julio Urias was supposed to start this game. Excuse me. I do not say this guy's name, so I apologize. Ryan Pepiot, I'll say. He throws 6 2/3 perfect innings and is a replacement for Urias last night. And if you don't know the story, he got arrested for domestic violence charge a couple days ago. Second time this has happened to him. I don't have any respect for these guys that put their hands on women. What is it with these guys? I don't get it. Go to a bar, get in a fight. Since the trade deadline, the Angels what is this going on here? Why won't this thing stay up? Can't stay on mute here. Here we go. Hopefully we got it this time. The Mariners, who are in first place in the West now, playing great baseballs. We've talked about a couple weeks in a row now, probably for a month. Castillo wins in 6 straight. They win 1-0 over the Rays. A really good matchup. We'll look at this weekend's matchups as well. Castillo gets his 12th win in this game. The Cardinals and the Brewers, the Braves. The Braves win 8-5 in this game. Max Fried pitched okay. He's 7-1 now at 2.70 ERA. Remember, the Braves built a lot of their resume here, which is now 91 wins already without Max Fried and without Wright and without Strider pitched most of that time. They've had a lot of injuries and still have been able to manage to have a very, very, very good season. Diamondbacks, who have fought their way back into contention after really reeling for a while, similar to what the Rangers are doing now. They're back to 5 games over 500. They hold the last wild card spot as we speak today. They're playing a day game in Wrigley today. And Tommy Pham homered twice. Former Met Tommy Pham homered twice in this game. And the hapless Angels and Guardians face off 3-2. It was the Angels. It does look like it does look as if Ohtani's going to have the surgery that we've talked about for quite some time here. Let's see, Drew, my hooked on phonics advisor here. Pepio, okay, doesn't look like that, does it? Drew must have picked him up in fantasy last night. Started him. I don't know if he did or not. I'm just kidding. Anyway, some other news around Major League Baseball. Dodgers pitcher Walker Buehler, who they thought they would have back this season. They said he would pitch in the rotation only, but they would not pitch him in relief. Well, he's had I don't know if you want to call it a setback, but they've slowed down. His progress has slowed down, and he is in the late stages of recovery here from his Tommy John surgery last year, and he will not pitch again this year. I do not believe, at least from what I could read here, there was any further setback for him. Just, again, this late in the season, they did not want to pitch him out of the bullpen. They did not feel that he would really help them out of the rotation. So I think you'll probably see him back next year, early in the season, of course. Mookie Betts gets certain Mookie Betts leaves the ballpark on crutches last night. Another team who's done very well, the Dodgers, with the second best record in baseball, I believe, or close to it. Let me take a quick look here if I'm accurate. No, I'm not. They have the third best record in baseball. Tied for the third best record in baseball. With all these injuries, it's been amazing. Now it's Mookie Betts with a bit of an injury. We'll see what happens with this. Hopefully it will not be anything too serious for them. Ohtani is taking swings, nears the return to the Angels lineup. His management team did indicate during the week that he likely will have to have surgery. There's been a lot of question about whether he'll have it, and I think the talk may have been more he'll need it at some point. Not that I mean, if he was going to have the surgeries, I don't know why he wouldn't have it now. He's still going to sign for a boatload of money next year, wherever that is. Not nearly as valuable as a one-way player. He's still a great hitter, but he doesn't play a position, don't forget. Nor should you expect him to if he doesn't pitch anymore. What's Dave Guyette got here? Dave Guyette, big Yankee fan like myself. Jeter will be in Yankee uniform tomorrow for the first time after retiring. It's Old Timers Day at Yankee Stadium. Yes, it is. It'll be good to see Jeter. He has not come to any of these events. In fact, I saw a note from Kay Mercer, who I'm hoping to interview soon, the widow of Bobby Mercer. She's not able to attend this event. She loves coming into New York and getting together with some of the wives of other players and some of the ex-players that she's so close to. Her and Diane Munson still have a very good relationship, and she's not able to make it. Ron Bloomberg not invited to this year's festivities either. I know they're honoring, I think, I want to say they're honoring the 98 team, but let me just check something out here. I do want to say they're honoring the 98. Yeah, I can't find a quick note here. Thought I might find something quick. There's a theme, and I don't know if it's Old Timers Day. Is it really Old Timers Day, Dave, this late in the season? I think they're honoring one of the teams. I think Old Timers Day was weeks back. Again, I could be wrong here. So feel free to correct me. But there is an event this weekend at the stadium for sure. I'm not finding it as I talk to you right now. What else is going on? Oh, I talked about Urias being arrested. Look at a witness alerted police to this altercation that was going on between him and his significant other. This is the second time that we've had an issue with him, and I have zero respect for these guys. When they get in trouble this way, it is not something that I look the other way on. And I don't want these guys involved in my organization when it happens. I said this about Domingo Germán 2 years ago. Get to your comment in a second, Drew. Cubs playing better. They're in the second wild card spot right now. Where do they stand there, by the way? I'm going to go to your comment after I do this, Drew. I think they're not that far behind the Phillies. 2 games behind the Phillies. Another one I got wrong. I didn't understand what the Cubs were doing. They continue to go. The Orioles are not going anywhere. Second best record in baseball, as you said. I was wrong when I said it was the Dodgers. 88 wins. They're doing things the right way. We thought it was a little strange it didn't make any moves or significant moves, I guess. More significant moves at the deadline. But they're doing it their way, man. And they are still 4 full games now ahead of the Rays in second place. We'll go through the divisions now. We can jump on this in a little bit. Jump on some other news in a little bit. Oh, I'm struggling with a very bad back this morning, guys. I apologize. Got to strap myself back in here. So the Orioles 4 up over the Rays. The Blue Jays 11.5 back. They do hold the last wild card spot at this moment. The Twins look like they'll win the Central. 6.5 ahead of the Guardians. The Guardians with all those waiver claims last week. I don't know what they were thinking about. I know they're all, if I'm not mistaken, they all were free agents, and Drew can probably correct me if they weren't. But I'm not sure what they were doing claiming all those guys. They were 5.5 out at the time. Maybe they thought they'd catch lightning in a bottle. It's happened before. Oh, the Astros have snuck back ahead of the Mariners. I did say the Mariners weren't first earlier. They snuck back ahead of them by a half a game here. This is going to be a great race. I said this in the beginning of the season that it would be the Mariners and the Astros would battle it out for first. I started to doubt myself when the Rangers played so well, but they're playing themselves right out of the playoffs. In fact, they're out of the playoffs if they started today, which they don't. But the Astros are still my favorite to win this American League. They just have a great resilience about them. And we've seen this before. Nothing seems to slow them down. All the hubbub about the cheating in 2017, all they kept doing after that was win. Cheating, stealing signs. Come on, get out of town. Astros finally make it back to where they belong. And a long, hard climb. I talked about Dave Roberts being, I think, the manager of the year in the National League with all the injuries that they've had, not just to the pitching staff. I mean, all the entire pitching staff was hurt, and a lot of other guys were hurt. But in the American League, Dusty Baker's got to deserve some kudos here. I'm sure that, God, what's the guy's name in Baltimore? Why is his name escaping me here? Brandon Hyde will garner quite a few votes, as will some others. But to me, Dusty Baker might very well be the manager of the year in the American League. This team also had tons of injuries. This team has overcome down seasons from Pena and Story and not Story, Bregman. Done a great job. Maybe Scott Service is going to be in there as well, because this team was left for dead that long ago. I had potentially being on the firing block. But they've come roaring back. Slowed down a little bit in their last 10, only 10-10. The Rangers, they lose Garcia, the American League RBI leader, to an injury. They call up their top prospect. I don't know. Is it desperate times for the Rangers? I was worried about their pitching all along. This team has been, every week I look up, they're 3-7 in their last 10. They have played horrendous baseball their last 30, 40 games. They got a Hall of Fame manager. I thought that would hold it together for them once they got their feet under them. I really thought I was probably wrong, and the Rangers were going to be maybe a threat, not just to make the postseason, but do some damage. Verlander and Scherzer matchup should be very interesting. Verlander much better than Scherzer. I agree. I think career-wise, this year-wise, I think Verlander is a steadier pitcher than Scherzer's been great. Don't get me wrong. It's hard to believe these guys have been on the same staff 2 different times, by the way. If you remember, they were together in Detroit when Detroit had a pretty good run and went to at least one World Series with Jim Leyland at the helm, and Verlander and Scherzer just a young guy at that point. So was Verlander. This will be an interesting matchup for sure. What else you got, Drew? A's officially disappoint me. Yes, they're on a 50-win pace. I think when we talked Sunday, I think they they could only win one more game. But we can get 110 losses in here. That'd be good. More than that. To stay at 110, they would have to go. What do they got to go? 9-13 the rest of the way. They're not going 9-13. They're not keeping this under 110. That's at 110. I'll settle for that. I would love to have seen a record this year. The A's are pushing, or the Royals are pushing them again too. By the way, the A's 5-5 in their last 10. The Royals 3-7. We spent a lot of time this year talking about these two teams, right? Ay. What Drew got here? The Verlander matchup was Wednesday. I didn't see this game. I apologize. I somehow missed this matchup. Verlander gave up 1 run. Scherzer gave up 7. Well, Verlander was a little bit better that day. And certainly the Astros have made out better in their trade for the veteran right-hander, in the trade of veteran right-handers, than Texas did in getting Scherzer. Verlander had been having a better year all year long. And again, I guess to my point, though, Drew, and I'd like to get your opinion, I guess, matching up these guys' 2 careers, they're both probably Hall of Fame pitchers. I think Verlander's had the better career in my mind than Scherzer. Scherzer won World Championship. Verlander's had one. I guess Verlander's only had 1, 2. No. Help me out. 1, I think. Maybe another this year. Who knows? But for whatever reason, I've always found myself drawn to Verlander as a pitcher more than Scherzer. 2 of the greats, though. You know what? Those are 2 guys. You know how I feel about pitching and the way they're babied and whatnot. These are 2 guys that you could throw back into 1972 and they could pitch. And they'd be Bulldogs and they'd be out there pitching 9 innings. And Garrett Cole, I'll add to that list as well. And there's a couple others. And it's not the pitcher's fault. I mean, they're the way they're, again, trained is not to be wanting to be out there for 9 innings. They start looking for somebody to come and get them as soon as they get in trouble. So anyway, we'll look at the rest of the series and the matchups tonight here in a little bit. In the National League, the Braves. I'll look at the wild card a little bit too today. We'll look at that a little closer than we have been. The Braves running away with this division, obviously 14 games ahead. The Phillies still lead the wild card race over the Cubs. The Diamondbacks have that 3rd spot, and the Marlins are still right there. 7-3 in their last 10. Mets 5-5 in their last 10. Listen, I'll give the Mets credit for one thing. The Mets and Yankees both. They didn't fold it up. They didn't mail it in. Yankees brought up kids. The energy level in the Bronx has been much better the last week, with Dominguez there, with Wells there, with I think even in the last 3 weeks, let's say, because Peraza and the other kid whose name is escaping me at the moment came up first. You see a much better energy level. I can deal with losing. I really can. I can't deal with losing and being boring. Just can't. Where was I? So again, I give the Mets and I give Buck Showalter credit. And I think Buck Showalter will survive, especially given the Mets have continued to battle. You know, they haven't played great by any means this second half, but when the bottom started to fall out, it could have kept falling out, and they could have really picked up some bad momentum. It would be a good idea for them to stay out of last place, but I think they've done a good job of battling. Pete Alonso still hitting home runs. Mets have some decisions to make with him. But I like it when teams, when they're out of the race, they don't give up. They still play hard. Because people are paying good money to go see you or watch you. Agree on all accounts. Both Hall of Fame pitchers, both have 3 Cy Youngs. There you go. And I think they both have 1 World Championship, which does matter to me. Great pitchers in their own right. Again, I would love to have seen. I really wish these guys had pitched in a different era because they'd be 300-game winners. They might even be up there on the all-time strikeout list if they've been able to pitch enough innings. And these are two guys that did pitch a lot of innings compared to some of their younger brethren. Oh, where else? The Central. The Brewers can't seem to pull away from the Cubs. It's only a 2-game race. This is probably going to be one of the division races that's still going to be important. And I think the division race matters. You get a break. You don't have to play in that wild card series. I guess one of them do, right? The worst one does. So the division here probably won't matter as much as it will elsewhere, where you could get a little break, line up your pitching rotation. So maybe this race won't matter that much in the end of the day to the Brewers, but the Reds still aren't out of it. They're only 5.5 back. That's a lot to come back from with 20 games left, but played very good baseball, well above where I thought they'd be, as we've talked about before. Cubs 7-3 in their last 10. David Ross, another guy's name will probably come up for manager here. He's done very well with I thought was a very poorly constructed squad. They've done well. They had a swoon, man, where they felt like 10 games under 500. The Pirates are battling 7-3 in their last 10, only 10 games under 500. Kind of looked like the bottom would fall out on them too. So it's possible. Come on, get this back here. Reds only a half game. Maybe it was the Reds. Maybe I'm mixing the Reds and the Marlins up. Let me double check my wild card standings here. Oh, they're both a half game out. So, the Reds, Marlins, listen, baseball wants parity. They pretty much got it. You got some really good teams in the Braves and the Orioles. I can't discount the Orioles. The Astros. The Dodgers. But you got a lot of parity. This is what the league wants. I don't necessarily want it. I'd be okay going back to 2 divisions in each league and play a championship series and go to World Series. It's not what the league wants. I understand. I think it keeps, and it probably does. In more cities, there's more interest longer into the season. TV likes it. They get more games in the playoffs. But to me, when I'm 4 games over 500 and I'm still battling for a playoff spot, I feel like I need to be better to be in that position. Just me. That's neither here nor there. Where was I? Still in the Central? Yeah, I guess I've known the Central. We moved to the West, and the Dodgers have just run off a huge division lead. Remember, this was a hotly contested division up until 6 weeks ago. And the Dodgers just caught fire, and everybody else slowed down. Diamondbacks, Giants. Giants are only at 500 right now. Still in a wild card race. I think 2.5 out. Which Drew's got a comment there. Even the Giants with their 6-game losing streak. There you go, 2.5 games out. Not going the right way, though. 21% chance of making the playoffs. Padres, 20 games back. I mean, what do you do? What do you do if you're I'm trying to think of the GM's name in San Diego. It'll probably come to me here at some point. But what do you do? Do you blow this thing all up? It's a chemistry thing, man. They've got too much talent here. And maybe that's the problem. There's too much talent. I mean, baseball certainly has a lot of individual aspects to it, but it's still a team game. And you still need to pick each other up, and it doesn't happen on this team. The pitchers pitch well, they don't hit. The hitters hit well, they don't pitch. They haven't been resilient to injuries the way that the Dodgers have been, the Braves have been, the Astros have been. Yes, thank you, Drew. Yes. I mean, he's put together on paper a tremendous squad. Don't play the game on paper unless you're playing Stratomatic baseball, right, Drew? These guys don't get that luxury. And they should thank the Lord they got the Colorado Rockies to keep him from falling into last place. Just hasn't been pretty for any of these teams. And the wild card, I do want to get into a couple other topics, and we'll look at this weekend's games too. Let me just look real quick again at the wild card race. So we did talk about it as we went along here, but let me just regroup. So you got your division winner leaders, as we know: Baltimore, Minnesota, the Astros for the moment, the Braves. I'd say of those, probably only the Orioles and Rays probably still have a race in the American League. I'm sorry, that's not right. The Astros, Mariners, and Rangers are still fighting for division. Will that matter? Again, with only two of the teams getting a bye, yeah, that's going to matter. That's going to play into the bye, too. That Western Division race is very important because that winner's going to end up with that bye. The Twins are never going to get it. So the wild card races are, you got Tampa, 5.5 games over Seattle. They're a lock to be the number one seed, if you will, for the wild cards. The Mariners are 2 ahead of the Blue Jays, who are a half a game ahead of the Rangers. Rangers heading the wrong direction, man, and have been for a while. The Red Sox would like to think they're still in it at 5 games back. I'm not sure. I think they've done a great job to be 4 games over 500 at this point. Don't get me wrong. Not a big fan of that roster. 5 games is probably too much to overcome when you're looking at the number of teams in front of you. Well, it's 2 teams, but somebody's going to be winning every day. National League, maybe even more tightly contested. You got the Phillies with a 5-game edge. So they should be fine. 2 over the Cubs, 5 over the Diamondbacks. They should be fine. The race comes down to the Diamondbacks. If I give the Cubs a benefit of the doubt, and I'm not going to. I'm not going to. The race comes down to 2 spots amongst the Cubs, the Diamondbacks, the Marlins, the Reds, and the Giants. 5 teams fight for 2 spots. In the American League, you got really 4 teams, in my mind, fighting for 3 spots. And whether that's the Rangers or the Mariners or the Astros remains to be seen. Whether it's the Orioles, although I just don't think the Rays are going to be able to make up this gap. And give the Rays credit and give Kevin Cash credit. I've been talking about managers doing a great job this year. As much as I'm not a big Kevin Cash fan, he's done a great job. This team also has been rattled by injuries. I think it's that they've lost most of their starting staff to season-ending injuries, or they've been out at one time or another. Plus, they got the whole Wander Franco fiasco to deal with. And I keep reading that Wander Franco will not play in the major leagues again. The story started to disappear a little bit, so it's very interesting to see what happens there. Augustine, good afternoon. How are you today? You know, another interesting story is Steven Strasburg. We talked about Steven Strasburg. And by the way, he's a great example of why do not sign guys to long-term contracts. Talked about the Rondon contract the Yankees are stuck with. We talked about how DeGrom is signed at multiple years with way too much money. DeGrom's a great example. Rondon's a great example. Well, Steven Strasburg, even with all the injuries he'd had through his career up to 2019, when he was 32 years old, by the way, they signed him to a 7-year, $245 million deal after they won the World Series in 2019. What are you thinking about? With the history he'd had up till then? Now they were going to have this great retirement ceremony, and now, because all of this money is guaranteed, and apparently Washington took no insurance out on this, from what I can grasp, they're looking to not have to pay him out all the money. And him and his agent, who I believe is Steve Boros. if I'm not mistaken. Now there's a dispute, and guess what's not happening? There's not going to be any big Steven Strasburg celebration in Washington. You can't make this stuff up. You sign guys to guaranteed contracts, don't take out any insurance, and you're going to blame the pitcher? I'd take the money. Rays and Brewers, year in, year out, always in a race, despite tiny budgets, relatively speaking. But great, Kevin Cash is a good manager. I don't like him. I think he's a little chippy. You know, the Yankees and Kevin Cash have a very spotty history with some things that have gone on. If you remember CC Sabathia, theoretically, you know, giving up a $500,000 bonus by getting himself thrown out of the game because Kevin Cash and his pitchers thrown at the Yankees for about 4 days, and none of the Yankee pitchers would do anything. I believe CC got his bonus. But still, Kevin Cash, to me, is, I just don't like him. Now, Craig Counsell, on the other hand, I think he's in the top 5 managers in baseball. Easy, in my mind. Easy. Augustin's doing good. That's awesome. Josh Hamilton, yeah, you know, I was thinking more pitchers, but definitely hitters matter too. Look what happened to Louis Poles at the end of his contract. Josh Hamilton, though, went bad early, and Josh Hamilton was another guy that you were taking a risk on because, well, he'd had injury history and he had a lot of other history, obviously, as well. The fact that Josh Hamilton recovered from, you know, the drug abuse that he put his body through before he actually made it big. I mean, if you remember, he was a high draft pick. I want to say with the Tampa Bay Rays. Got in way over his head with drug use and fouled his way back. Played, I think, with the Reds. I think might have been the Reds who gave him a shot. Played pretty well in part-time duty. The Rangers get him, and he really goes off with the Rangers. But injuries now start to catch up with him, and you wonder how much the early part of his career being lost to drugs affected his body to be susceptible to injury after that. But yes, Josh Hamilton, we could probably go through. We could spend a whole hour talking about guys with bloated contracts that didn't come through. How about Jacoby Ellsbury? Another great move by, Brian Cashman gets a pass so freaking much. And they say, well, for the most part, he did bring in this one. He brought in that one. How about the Stanton contract he took on? How about this contract he gave Jacoby Ellsbury? How about all the trades to pitchers, the Rondon contract? How about all the trades of pitchers that we don't even do medicals on, or we don't know what we're doing? But Brian Cashman's going to survive again, guys. He must have pictures of Hal Steinbrenner. That's all I can say. I wouldn't think the same for Boone, given what Cashman's had to say or not say the last few weeks. I think it speaks volumes that he won't be back. That's what I think. The Rangers, as I said, called up their top prospect, Evan Carter, with Garcia going on the disabled list, and he's expected to fill that spot. Garcia's not out. He's only on the 10-day DL. But they're going to miss that bat. He's only hitting 244, but 34 homers, 100 RBIs. I know those are numbers I'm not supposed to care about, but I do. We'll see whether Carter can pick up the slack, and maybe it gives the Rangers a little boost of energy that I talk about a lot with the Yankees and whatnot. What else have I missed here today? That's the NFL. Drew, thanks for the reminder to get my Thursday night game in last night, by the way, because I'm the same place I would have been if I didn't get a pick in. Let's see. We talked about Urias. It's been suspended. Steve Cohen has acquired TGL, which is a new golf league, which is being formed by Tiger Woods and Roy McIlroy's TMRW sports venture. There's 6 teams of 3 PGA players, and they'll face off in head-to-head matches beginning January in 2024. So I guess maybe we'll get some really good golfers playing this. We'll talk about this maybe more on Sunday. But with Steve Cohen involved, there's probably got to be some pretty good purse money here, and it'll be something that might be fun to watch if you're golfing. If you're not, you probably won't like it. What else? The Marlins place Alcantara on the and Solar, 2 of the biggest people. You know, Alcantara hasn't had a great season this year. Solar has. They're both on the DL now as they try to make a playoff push. Not a good time for that to happen. I don't need to do my malware now, do I? Apparently not. It actually predicted the Giants. Who's it? Oh, you did. Sorry, guys. That's my Walgreens call. Some muscle relaxers for my back. Yikes. What else? Let's look at the matchups. We might have a shorter show unless we got some topics to jump into. Oh, by the way, Anthony Rizzo was shut down for the season. If you remember, he was diagnosed with a concussion about 3 months after he actually got it. So again, you wonder what the Yankees are, you know, who's asleep at the wheel over here? So he'll miss the rest of the season. Pirates McCutcheon is out for the season. Any other decent little stories going on here? We know Acuna, 2 more home runs yesterday. What a great season he's having. The MVP race in the National League should be wrapped up, right? Should be Acuna. The American League might be a little bit more contested, if you will. I don't know. There's an article in ESPN today about the best Major League Baseball's season ever, judging 2023 against some of the greats. This gets into too much war stuff. I can't do this. What is this? They're giving me the scoring system. I just wanted to see the best seasons, I thought. All right, well, I'm not getting to this. Oh, I see what happened here. I see what they're doing here. Great individual seasons. Exciting playoff races. Yeah, but you don't. They give me all this stuff, but they don't show me. Yeah, they don't show me what the it's what a waste of my freaking time. Sorry about that, guys. I'm just looking for a story. We went through all the pennant races. Not much else to talk about. There's going to be lots to talk about soon. Well, playoff baseball. We're going to have, and you know, something always happens there. We got a hotly contested race in our fantasy league, as Drew knows about. What do you got here, Drew? Corey Seager has an. Is he not going to get there, Drew? What's his? Take a quick look. We can take a quick look at some stats. I don't often look at the stats. Let's take a quick look at some of the overall leaders. So where is? I want to see what Seager has. You got to have 501 official at bats, if I'm not mistaken, correct? Not plate appearances. What's he got? He's only got 386. There's no way he's going to get there. He's had a great season, right? 28 homers, 84 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, 339. I don't really know who's going to be winning this MVP race, though, Drew. How about Luis Arraza, by the way? He's really faded down to 353. Freddie Freeman, maybe he'll give Acuna a race. I don't think so. American League, I just don't know who let me just take a quick look. I want to look at some numbers in the American League. Maybe we'll come up with maybe we can come up with a consensus. How do I get to where I want? Complete leaders. There we go. So batting average, the leader is obviously Araza. I'm there saying his name wrong again, whatever. Steger, I want just the American League, though, because I think the National League is a done deal. Maybe it will matter on the finishes that we have here. Maybe Ohtani wins. I don't think Ohtani should win because he's on such a bad team. Again, same kind of argument I had last year. He's got 44 home runs. He's going to drive in over 100 runs. He pitched. Maybe he wins. But, look at it. I'm more likely to want to give it to a guy like a Kyle Tucker who's kept Houston afloat with some big hits. Who else can I look at? Justin Turner? No way. Anti-MVP? How about Wander Franco? You know what? J-Rod has got himself. If the Mariners win the West, or maybe even if they don't, as bad a first half as he had, he's now hitting where's his batting average? He's now hitting 280 with 27 homers and 93 RBIs. He had a horrendous first half. As I look at these numbers, and maybe Corey Seager will be in the running. If the Rangers can rebound, he has a big September. Maybe Corey Seager can do this. 502. Thank you, Drew. Off by one. I don't have another, and maybe it'll go to a pitcher, but I don't think there's a pitcher that I would necessarily say has had such an overwhelming season that he ought to be the MVP. No way. It's going to be quite a race, I think, for the Cy Young. I think Garrett Cole's got himself back in the race. He's still got a few starts left. Luis Castillo's won 6 in a row. We'll talk more about the awards, I think, next week for sure. We'll do a little research. We'll talk about some of the awards. How about the leader in wins, Chris Bassett? That's not true. Justin Steele. That's an all of Major League Baseball. Sorry. I was right about the American League. Strider might win in the National League. Did I pick Strider in the National League, Drew? I feel like I did. 16-5. 3.83 ERA is a little high. 16 quality starts. I am not a big fan of that stat either, by the way. 250 strikeouts. I think Strider's going to win the Cy Young. I really do. In the American League, I might say Garrett Cole. I think Garrett Cole wins in the American League. I really do. MVP, I'm going to say J-Rod sneaks it out late. Kyle Tucker just doesn't have the brand name, I don't think, to get there. Anyway, Drew might be typing some stuff up. Let's look at the matchups that we got this weekend as we head into the last few weeks of the Major League season and the fantasy season. Ends even sooner. Arizona at Chicago, as we said, a very, very important game in the wild card matchup. Where's that score at right now as we speak? That game is still no score as we've gone to the bottom of the 7th since we've been on this show. The one rule that I'm okay with the change, I think, was the pitch clock. Once we got past some of the annoyance of it early on, it has improved the pace of games tremendously. And I guess I got to let them go. Pitchers require 162 innings to pitch to qualify for the ERA title. Yeah, I'm not sure. I wasn't really talking about anybody specifically with the ERA title, but I was talking about Cy Young winners, which there is no qualification for. Oh, God. Sorry about that. Anyway, we got Zach Gallion against, well, at least it was Jameson Taillon in that game in Chicago. In a game that, again, we would have to pay you to go watch. Chicago will be at Detroit for the weekend. They start off with Clevenger and Olsen. Seattle and Tampa Bay, that should be a pretty good matchup. They start tonight with Kirby. George Kirby, one of the really good young pitchers in baseball. That Seattle staff has got a really very good young pitching staff, and I think they could be set up for a good run for a while. He'll face Ty Bradley tonight. St. Louis will be at Cincinnati. Important game for the Reds. Andrew Abbott against Drew Rom. The Dodgers will play the Nationals. Emmett Sheehan against Mackenzie Gore. Who? The Dodgers just keep pulling pitchers out of their behinds. I know Sheehan has been around before. Miami at Philadelphia, very important series here. Yuri Perez, who we talked about, came up, pitched really well for Miami early on. They sent him back down to kind of save his arm, or I don't think they DL'd him, did they, Jeremy? I think they sent him down against Christopher Sanchez. Yuri Perez is one of the great young pitchers in baseball. This kid will be around, assuming they don't ruin his career. He'll be okay. Milwaukee will be at New York all weekend. Colin Ray will start it off against Luis Severino, who's had a little bit of a resurgence. Is it real? I'm not sure. Can the Yankees count on it being real? Can they count on Luis Severino going into next year? I'm not sure. Kansas City will be at Toronto. Colin Snyder at Kikuchi. Baltimore will be at Boston. Interesting series. Kyle Brandish against Tanner Houck. Pittsburgh at Atlanta. Pittsburgh's played better recently. They're out there fighting, playing hard. Mitch Keller, an underrated starter for the Pirates against Bryce Elder. Oakland at Texas. Paul Blackburn against Jordan Montgomery tonight. The Mets go to Minnesota. Senga against Kuchel. No, I said his name wrong again. Kuchel. Give it to me again on phonics. San Diego will be at Houston. Blake Snell against Hunter Brown, who's pitched well. Cleveland at the Angels, another series you'd have to probably pay me to go to. Logan Allen against Griffin Canning. And Colorado at San Francisco, Ty Block and Kyle Harrison. Giants need to get healthy in a hurry. Things are going badly for them. Hang on before I put that up. Keuchel. Now, if I look at this phonetically, Drew, let me look at his name again. Why would I think you pronounce it? I should know because I hear it enough, right? But I'm just not. I don't have an ear for names, if that makes any sense, or a mouth for names. Who the hell's he pitching for? Dallas? Why would I think that was Keuchel? Keu? Not my problem. Learn to spell their name. What do you have up here for? Hard to believe. Tawan Walker, 15-game winner with the Phillies. And if I'm not mistaken, he was hurt early in the season. I'm not sure if I'm mistaken on that or not. I think he missed some time in April. And 4.15 ERA. And he's pitched better in the second half, I think, than he did in the first half, which is unlike him. He usually pitches very poorly. Anyway, that's the matchups for this weekend. So Dallas Keuchel will be around. Again, guys, we got some, any other, let me look and see if there's some interesting pitching matchups this weekend. Interesting one with Arizona and Chicago tomorrow. Merrill Kelly against Justin Steele, two really good young pitchers. Zach Greinke, did I see Zach Greinke has one win this year? Is that actually right? Where's his wins and losses? Come on, where's his wins and losses? All right, let me look here. It's a really sad way for a great. Yeah, 1-14. 1-14. Sad way for Zach Greinke to go out. Great pitcher in his day. He'll pitch against Kevin Gausman. I guess that's not as interesting a pitcher matchup as I thought. Matchup of some guys who used to be good. Flaherty and Sale in the Boston series tomorrow. Johnny Soweto and Aaron Nola. Any other really good matchups? Undecided. A lot of undecideds on Sunday, so we won't look at that one. Oh, what do you got? To be called out on your show, every player should have some name of Smith Baby Chunk. I have said for a long time, Drew, that there need to be, and again, I'm sure I'm offending somebody when I say it, there should be far more Smith and Joneses in all of sports, and we'd all be better off. The Patriots do it. We got about 6 Joneses on the Patriots defense. Anyway, guys, been a fun day today. Fun day today. Thanks, Drew. Thanks, Dave Guyette. For all of you that watch us later, thank you. Catch us Sunday on the Stream of Consciousness. Again, next Wednesday's college football huddle will probably be at a different day and time. I'll figure out when we're going to do it due to some work obligations. And we'll have some announcements on what we'll be doing later this month. The first couple of weekends, the last weekend in September, first weekend in October, we'll be away. We'll figure out what we're going to do. I'll let you guys. We thank you for TGI Sports Talk's Major League Baseball update. Catch you later. Enjoy the games. Enjoy the races. Have fun. Get hip on tonics like me.